Hello and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gaming World. That's right, we're back. We took a week out last week, wasn't feeling too well, so we got plenty to talk about this week. So let's just get on with it, shall we? So have I picked up any other games since you last saw me? Well, the answer is yes. I have some Dreamcast games here that I picked up fairly recently. I'll show you what I've got. The Floygan Brothers Episode 1 for the Sega Dreamcast, a late Dreamcast release. This is a pretty cool game. From what I've gathered from videos online, it's a 3D puzzle platformer type game where to progress in the levels you have to make your older, or provoke your older, dumber brother to do particular things, either going up to him, giving him a slap and then running away and having him maybe stand on a button or something to activate something you need to progress in the game. So you can see the two brothers here. This is he helps you out, the big guy. I don't know if he's got a name here, let's find out. Large and lovable Moigel has a secret project that will keep the greedy Baron Maladorovich, oh my lord, oof. Unfortunately Moigel has lost parts he needs to complete his project and he must enlist the help of quick-witted older brother Hoigel. Together the Floygan brothers play games and solve puzzles, all while defending their family turf. Okay, next up we have Virtua Fighter 3 TB. So what's so special about this Japanese copy of Virtua Fighter? Well, it plays full screen, which is nice compared to the PAL version, and also it has obviously the game in one compartment, and in the other it has something called Project Barclay, which is quite interesting. I haven't tried it out yet, but Project Barclay is effectively a Shenmue preview disc featuring some very early footage from the game. It releases some sort of like teaser as what was to come when Shenmue was eventually released. So being a Shenmue fan, it's also a nice thing to have, and the game's very affordable, the Japanese copy of Virtua Fighter 3 TV, so happy to pick that one up. And lastly, for our rest of our Dreamcast pickups, we have all these copies were brand new from a seller on eBay. We have Sega Sports Tennis 2K2, which is actually Virtua Tennis 2 under a different name. Much cheaper to buy this NTSC copy of the game should you have the means to play it, because you don't want to pay too much for Virtua Tennis 2 nowadays, do you? Sega Marine Fishing, I assume, was also released in Japan, but not in PAL regions. This is the US copy, so happy to be able to try that one, as I do like a bit of Sega bass fishing. And lastly, World War II aerial combat in the form of Iron Aces, again a US Dreamcast game. This again is a bit more pricey to buy PAL, so why not get the US copy? So some good savings there and some good games to try out on the Dreamcast. So back here in the bedroom come office area, and I'm going to talk about a few of the games I've been playing this past week, or 2 weeks actually. So we've got a couple of Mega Drive games here. What we got here, you may wonder. So this is an import Mega Drive game called Street Smart. This is a 2D fighter, one-on-one fighter, but rather unique actually. So the unique thing about this game is, first of all, it seems to be very basic in its controls. I can work out how to punch and kick and jump and sort of roll backwards. But in terms of any other sort of special moves, I haven't been able to work it out yet, despite, this also having a manual. In the manual you have some controls here which show you, yes, if you press different buttons together, different things happen. Obviously, being in Japanese, even though I am trying to learn Japanese, I'm still not at any kind of level where I can read this. But the instruction manual has some nice illustrations of the characters in it as well. I think this game was released outside of Japan, perhaps only in the US. I could be incorrect about that, but it may be also been under another name. So is it worth playing? Well, going back to what I said about it being unique, basically you can upgrade your fighter after every fight, which is kind of fun. So you win a fight, and then you get so many points that you can spend in upgrading, and you can choose to spend these across 3 different areas. I think it's something like attack and defense and something else I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, you'll see before every fight, see how the stats are for the opponent as opposed to your stats, and you'll be able to gamble basically on yourself winning or the opponent winning, and you win fight money from every fight, and you can choose to gamble that to make more money. Yeah, so it's got colourful visuals, it's nicely done. It's different from a lot of 2D fighters because you've got it's kind of like a side-scrolling beat-em-up because you can move in and out of the backgrounds. But does that really add to the gameplay? Is a great thing, or is it just a distraction from perhaps what is a very basic game? Now, I need to do a bit more research on this, and I've got to watch a few other people play it, see what I'm doing wrong, if I am doing anything wrong, and let me know if you've played this, and if you know how to play this like a pro, or you're still just fumbling around like me. But nevertheless, it's a cool one to add to the fighting game collection, and I quite like it, all things considered. And next up we have a rather unique game that I bought after watching the film for the first time. This is The Lawnmower Man. I really like The Lawnmower Man. I think it's a fun story. It's a bit crazy. It's of its time, but it's incredibly entertaining. And I love the ideas within the story of The Lawnmower Man. So for those who haven't seen the film, basically there's a scientist who's trying to unlock the next phase of human evolution by experimenting on the human brain using virtual reality. I think that makes some sort of sense. Or not. He's played by, what was his name again? Forget the name of the scientist. Anyway, he's played by Pierce Brosnan in the film, who appears in a digitised version here in the game. The main character the character in the front is Job, and you could say Job is the main character, I suppose. He's the Lawnmower Man. So when Pierce Brosnan's character leaves his job, or he's sacked, I can't remember, at some government facility, who want, of course, to use this virtual reality tech for military purposes. Anyway, he was getting quite far when a chimp did something wrong and shot someone. There you go. You actually fight chimps in this too, strangely enough. So yeah, after he was ejected from his job, he started doing these experiments with virtual reality at home, using who he thought was the perfect subject, Job, the Lawnmower Man. He was a relatively simple person with not very high intelligence, and through doing these virtual reality experiments on Job's intelligence gets so much that he goes a little bit off the rails and becomes more intelligent than the scientist who was trying to increase his mental capacity, and eventually becomes one with the virtual reality world, and it's up to Pierce Brosnan to take him down. So what's most interesting about the film is it's the progression of the character of Job, basically, because he's actually a very likeable character to begin with, and then of course as he gets consumed by this power, he becomes a little bit crazy and a little bit power hungry. And does this game follow the film? Going back to the game here. Kind of. So you get to do sort of virtual reality type mini games, I guess. Well, they're actually fully fledged levels in between the main running gunning platform levels. But those levels are not really based on anything in the film. You either play as Pierce Brosnan's character or Job's girlfriend. Who doesn't particularly have a big role in the film, but she's a second playable character in this game. And so it's broken up with these 2D platforming shooting levels where cars are super super powerful, and you'll shoot a lot of them and you not really know if you're actually doing much to them or not, because it doesn't really feel like your bullets impact on any sort of enemies. And a few tricky characters here and there. A little puzzle element to it. Occasionally in the levels is hidden some sort of terminal where you do a puzzle where you have to quickly decide which cards match in a sequence, and yeah, if you do it you get some power-ups, but I'm not actually sure how the power-ups are helping me necessarily in this game, because it's not incredibly clear. Everything's a little bit cryptic, I suppose. But you know, it's kind of fun and does have some nods to the movie. There's people in suits and black glasses who are after Pierce Brosnan's character, and in turn after Job. And there's the biker who works at, well, actually works at the gas station, but there's a biker character who's horrible to Job in the film, and he appears briefly, as do some what do you call them? Gas pumps that attack you and such. So there are nods to the films, and also in the virtual reality segments of the game, which are very cool in 3D type graphics, as they're presented in some sort of 3D thing that the Mega Drive can do. And they're kind of cool. You fly through them, basically, or there's variations on them where you fly through and have to shoot enemies, several sections. But a lot of it is just flying through at a constant speed and dodging obstacles in order to get to a goal. And there is a longer, more elaborate version of that where you actually see a character on screen and you fly through various tunnels and stuff. Reminds me of Kefir on the CDI, but I always go back to CDI stuff for reference. I think it's a good reference point for me. I don't know if this predates Kefir. I presume it probably does, or was around the same time. But yeah, they're pretty fun, and it's cool to see all that 3D stuff going on a Mega Drive, and they do make the game quite unique. Yeah, I was playing it quite a bit, and I quite enjoy it. I do think it can be hard to shoot some of the enemies. I'd play it on easy. I'd recommend playing it easy as well, because you get a little bit more health. So if you're learning the game, maybe play it on easy. Anyway, I think it's a very unique Mega Drive game that's actually pretty well put together. It's got some great music too, great graphics. Gameplay could be improved slightly. However, it's not too bad, and it's probably worth your time. I think this was about £10 online. Try it out, little Lawnmower Man. And lastly, I'm just going to quickly talk about a Switch game I've been playing, which has been Gear Club Unlimited. And it's pretty cool. I picked it up in a Nintendo Switch eShop sale. Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it? For just under £5. I had my eye on this game for a while. For the longest time, it was one of the few proper racing games you could actually purchase on the Switch. There is now, of course, Asphalt 9, which is a free game that is a sort of pay-to-play type of thing. If you want to unlock things quicker, you pay money. However, you can play it without paying for it. Anyway, this was it shares a few similarities to that, in that it was a mobile title, and probably still is a mobile title. This is a Switch version, and it does away with all those microtransactions and such. And it's quite a lengthy game. Basically, it does driving and racing very well. I like the way the cars handle. I don't like the way the game looks. I like the system, how you upgrade your driver level, like in something like Gran Turismo Sport, or Forza for that matter. It's got a racing line like Forza. It takes a lot of ideas from other racing games. Ultimately, it creates what is quite a generic racing game. However, it's very playable, very fun. I quite like how you can build up these little stations to upgrade your vehicles. As you unlock certain levels, you can unlock more stations, like a paint station unlocks later on. But initially you get like something so you can tune your engine, your gears, put new tyres on, new wheel trims, also the cosmetic elements that you can add to your car. And there's a nice bunch of licensed cars in there. from Chevrolet or BMW, I think Nissan. There's quite a variety. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. There's a rewind function, which I think was that first introduced in Forza. I seem to remember first playing it myself in Forza. So it has all those things you expect from a racing game. It doesn't have any in-game music in the races, which I think is a bit of a shame, and it would have been nice to hear that. You hear a lot of engine noise, so bear that in mind. But for £5, very affordable. There's a sequel out there at the moment. Well, at the time of doing this, that was just £10. But I've heard some good reviews of this one, and it was the cheaper one. And yeah, there's lots to keep you busy. There's also a rally mode in it as well. Things just slowly open up as you progress in the game. And yeah, I can recommend Gear Club Unlimited. So, we've come to the end of this kind of long and waffly episode of Tom's Gaming World. That's what happens when I've been away for a week. But I do hope you've enjoyed watching it. I've been debating whether or not to do these fortnightly or not. It's very much dependent on how much I've got to talk about. So, as a sort of a forewarning, maybe there will be weeks where we'll miss out a week. It's all very reliant on what I've been playing that week, at the time I've had to play games, and if I've been picking up anything interesting. But if there's anything interesting that I play or pick up, I'll be sure to talk about it on one of these episodes. So I do hope you're still enjoying these. Let me know if not, and then I can maybe improve them if you offer me some sort of constructive criticism. So yeah, all that's for me to say is thanks very much for watching, and until next time, game on!